If you look at the Trojan horse like a Hollywood movie, it's genius. The Greeks are brilliant masterminds. The Trojans are unlucky victims. One giant wooden horse, one perfect trick, and Troy falls. But if you look at the story through history, logic, and behavioral economics, it starts to fall apart. The Trojans weren't defeated because the Greeks were smarter. They were defeated because their own minds betrayed them. This wasn't just a military victory. It was a perfect case study in the march of folly. To understand why anyone would drag a giant, suspicious horse into their city, you have to understand the Trojans' mental state. They had been at war for 10 years. 10 years of burned fields, 10 years of hunger, 10 years of funerals. They didn't just want the war to end, they needed it to end. In economics, this is called the sunk cost fallacy. When you invest too much time, money, or pain into something, your brain stops asking, is this still a good idea? Instead, it starts saying, we've already come this far. The Trojans weren't looking at a wooden horse, they were looking at a finish line. They had suffered for 10 years, and they desperately needed that suffering to mean something. So when the Greeks disappeared and left behind a giant gift, the Trojans didn't see a security threat, they saw permission to believe the nightmare was finally over. But here's the thing, they were warned. In Virgil's Aeneid, the priest Laocoon sees the horse and basically screams, "Do not trust it." He warns them about the Greeks. He tells them not to bring it inside. He even throws a spear into the horse. And according to the story, it makes a hollow sound. Meaning they had a clue, they had evidence, they had a warning. But the city had already made up its mind. That's groupthink. When a crowd wants something badly enough, the truth becomes annoying. Laocoon wasn't treated like the voice of reason. He was treated like a problem. And once a group decides the story it wants to believe, facts become obstacles. This is what historian Barbara Tuchman called folly. Folly has 3 parts. First, the decision works against your own interest. Second, there are better alternatives available. Third, it's not just one person being foolish, it's a group effort. The Trojan horse fits perfectly. Bringing it inside was dangerous. Burning it was safer. Leaving it outside was safer. Inspecting it properly was safer. But instead, the king, the leaders, and the citizens all joined in. They didn't just open the gates, they tore down part of their own wall to bring the danger inside. That is the terrifying part of the story. Troy didn't fall because nobody saw the risk. Troy fell because enough people chose to ignore it. And this still happens today. A company spends 5 years and $50 million building a product nobody wants. The data says it failed. The customers say it failed. The market says it failed. But leadership keeps going. Why? Because they've already spent 5 years. That's the horse. A government project goes massively over budget. Everyone knows the plan is broken, but it continues because it's too big to fail. That's the horse. A person leans in a bad relationship, a dead-end career, or a failing project, not because it's valuable now, but because leaving would mean admitting the past was a mistake. That is the horse. The real lesson of Troy is not, don't accept gifts from enemies. The real lesson is, don't confuse relief with safety. Don't confuse hope with evidence. And don't keep dragging something dangerous into your life just because you've already suffered for it. The fall of Troy wasn't caused by wood. It was caused by a city that could not admit its 10-year investment had failed. So the next time you're holding on to a bad book, a failing project, or a broken relationship, ask yourself, am I keeping this because it's valuable, or am I just staring at the horse, hoping it means my war is finally over? Logic is the only defense against folly, but only if you're willing to listen to the people telling you to burn the horse.